You don't live to be pitied, you live to be a role model. Daniel is not a special name. No one remembers him for his powerful family, his athletic achievements, or his outstanding talent. People only remember Daniel as a skinny, quiet boy, with a sad look in his eyes. There is a reason for that sadness. Daniel's mother died when he was 12 years old after a serious illness. His father, a cheerful man, turned into a silent shadow in the house. No more laughter. No more family meals. Only the ticking of the clock and a void that no one could fill. Daniel learned to live in silence. He grew up like a forgotten tree in the backyard. No one cared for him and no one expected much from him. Teachers were lenient. Relatives were sympathetic. Friends occasionally dropped a sympathetic word and turned away. And so, Daniel gradually believed, I was just a poor boy. An encounter with Stoic philosophy. At the age of 15, Daniel wandered through the school library. He accidentally touched an old book, Letters from a Stoic, Letters to Lucilius by Seneca. At first he read it out of curiosity. But the more he read, the more he was drawn into each word, as if someone was talking directly to his pain. One passage made him pause for a long time. No one can hurt you as much as the thoughts you harbor in your head. For the first time Daniel realized. The world was not only pitying him, he was pitying himself. He had been complicit in the victim role for too long. He closed the book. He borrowed another one about Marcus Aurelius. That night, for the first time in years, Daniel did not cry himself to sleep. Instead he wrote on a piece of paper, I do not live to be pitied. I live to be a role model. A silent change. From that day on, Daniel no longer sought comfort. He did not need a pat on the back, did not want a look of pity. He began to wake up early, exercise, read books. He learned to be disciplined, not because someone forced him to, but because he chose to. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, you can start over, immediately, if you choose to control your mind. And Daniel chose to control each thought. When his mind said, I am unhappy, he replaced it with, I am being trained. When it said, I am weak, he replied, I am not strong yet, but I am getting there. Respond with actions, not words. Daniel no longer responded to the whispers behind his back. When his friends said, he is pitied by the teachers, Daniel just stood up quietly and did the best test in the class. When the teacher asked him why he had changed so quickly, Daniel just smiled. Because I don't want to live forever in the eyes of others as a sad story. Instead of complaining, he acted. Instead of blaming, he took responsibility. Instead of demanding justice, he created justice by being excellent. Epictetus taught, don't wish things were easier. Wish you were stronger. Daniel lived like that, day by day, hour by hour. Fire test gold, hardship test people. At the age of 18, Daniel entered the medical field. A harsh field requiring not only intelligence but also emotional endurance. Many people said, why don't you choose a lighter field? Your past is heavy enough. But Daniel just shook his head. Because of my past, I need to take the difficult path. He wanted to understand the human body, wanted to save the lives of children who were like him, waiting in the hospital without anyone explaining what was happening. At university, no one knew about Daniel's past. He didn't tell. He didn't need to tell. Because the way he lived told everything. Be a role model, not to be praised but to make others believe they can too. Daniel graduated as valedictorian. He became a resident in pediatrics. He was often the night shift worker, volunteering to take difficult cases, listening to patients with the quietness that only those who have truly suffered can have. One day, an orphan girl was abandoned in the hospital. Her eyes were cloudy and sad and she did not speak. People said she was traumatized and difficult to communicate with. Daniel sat next to her, not saying a word. He just handed her a piece of paper. Read, I don't live to be pitied. I live to be a role model for another child. For the first time in weeks she nodded. When you become the answer to the question, can I go ahead? Daniel opened a scholarship program named after his mother. For orphans who want to study medicine. No fanfare. No media. Just a door that opens silently. On the wall in front of the classroom, there is a sentence carved in wood. You don't live to be pitied. You live to be a role model. And under it there is no name of the writer. Because Daniel understands. Role models don't need names. They need action, courage, and resilience without anyone witnessing. To you, the one who is in pain, waiting, looking for a way out. You may have failed. You may have been abandoned. You may have been unchosen. You may have felt invisible. You may think, I have nothing special to stand up for. I am not strong enough. I have lost too much. But you know what? Seneca once wrote, "It is adversity that forges character. Without a storm, how can we know the strength of a ship?" You don't need to wait for someone to save you. You don't need the whole world to understand you. You just need to choose. I will not let this life write a tragedy. I will rewrite it, with my own two hands. Conclusion: when life only chooses one role, choose to be a role. You don't live to be pitied. Because pity doesn't grow you. It only keeps you small, in a dark corner of the world. You live so that those who were once weak will look at you and think, if that person can do it, so can I. You live to change the course of a story, from victim to leader. You live to be living proof that nothing is more precious than the courage of a person who dares to hold his head up in the face of adversity. You don't live to make people cry for you, but to make them stand up for you. You don't live to be pitied. You live to be a role model.